The Gates Foundation is very much at the forefront on this hunt for a vaccine. We've all learned by now the timeline, the hopeful timeline of 12 to 18 months. That is a highly expedited track, a fast track for a vaccine. Can you explain why?
For most diseases, you don't pursue more than one or two approaches. Here, because of all the incredibly negative effects, the sooner the better. And so we're going to pursue, there are 100 efforts, but maybe 10 of those should get the resources to build factories and go full speed ahead. And it'll be multiple companies, which that's not typical. And it'll all be at risk because those are billions of dollars that, when they're successful, will save the trillions of dollars of broad damage. So, the best scientists working hard on this, and I'm hopeful. In fact, in the last few weeks, I've seen signs that we may get to the optimistic side of that time projection.
What about treatments? You said if we could get a miracle drug, a miracle treatment that would, take care of it for 95% of people, then maybe we could all be at the baseball game next spring. You've said you don't think that's likely, but where's the hope on the treatment track?
Well, there's a huge number of compounds being tried. The public knows about remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine, whichever one it is, most will fail, but a few, I think, will have substantial effects. As far as I know, none of the trials have had that kind of, amazing result where you stop it early and go, hey, we have to get this out. So, even if those lead compounds do not have significant benefit, believe me, there's so many good ideas that some will. So no one should put their hope behind a particular approach. And hydroxy, it may have a modest effect. That's all that by the end of May will be clear.
I think if there has been any area that seems to have been bedeviling during this crisis, it's testing. I wonder how you assess how the U.S. has done on testing, and what seems to be the issue here? What's the breakdown? What's the problem? What should have been better?
Well, many countries decided that at the national level they would orchestrate the testing and do that very early. So all of these machines called PCR machines would be used 24 hours a day, and you would be testing the right people. That hasn't happened in the United States. It might not happen, but the access to tests is just chaotic. If you're a low-income person, your access is less than a high-income person. We should focus on the symptomatics and the contact tracing. So I don't know whether this will get organized. The capacity is going up, but when you get the results late, it's almost worthless. And so we can improve. A number of innovations have been driven. We were involved in improving that the patient doing the self-swab just at the tip of the nose. That's as good as having the medical worker do the more invasive procedure.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
We're actually quite a ways away from that happening. First, we have to have a much better understanding of the virology and the immunology, or the human's response to the virus. When that is known, there are many candidates that are already starting to come forward to test and see if this will be effective. In the process of developing a vaccine, first you see if it causes an immune response, then you test to make sure it's safe in humans, and then you test to make sure it actually works and prevents infection. That process takes years. And we're really only in what I would call the first few steps of it. This virus is very similar in its structure to the SARS virus that affected humans a number of years ago. And so we did have some science from that virus and did have some early vaccine candidates. But I think we cannot depend on having an effective, safe vaccine for quite a while.
So, as we've been reporting, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases around the world has now easily surpassed 105,000 and continues to grow by the day. Governments are scrambling to respond to this threat to public health, and researchers are working to develop a vaccine. But how close are they to success, and how close are they to actually getting it onto the market? Oh Young tells us more.
Can a vaccine for COVID-19 be developed within a year? Scientists around the world are scrambling to come up with an effective way to build immunity against the novel coronavirus. This involves replicating a small portion of the virus, which comes in the form of a single-strand RNA enclosed in a spike protein that binds and infects a cell. While many expect it to take at least 12 months before an effective vaccine is available for use, a lab at the UK's Imperial College is aiming to have a vaccine available within a year. It became the first place in the world outside China to start animal trials with a candidate vaccine. Senior fellow researcher Paul McKay says the lab's platform meant it could work quickly based around the genetic sequence of the virus.
And so COVID was just another stretch of genetic information that we were able to put into our platform and quickly make a vaccine. There's nothing particularly strange or unusual about coronaviruses. In fact, there are coronaviruses that are naturally present in people all the time, but because this is a new one, that's why it looks different.
He also said fears that the virus would evolve rapidly may be ungrounded.
This is a story that there was two different strains that were circulating, but we're not really sure that it's actually mutating very quickly. It's not like other viruses like influenza mutates very quickly. So COVID-19 does not seem to be doing that.
The biggest challenge is getting through the lengthy regulatory procedures.
And we would be able, I believe, to start a human clinical trial in June and then get results from that by late summer. And then we would need to start an efficacy trial. And that's the big one.
Scores of companies and research institutions around the world are now working on vaccines and treatments for COVID-19. In Korea, 50 medical firms, including Celltrion and Korea United Pharm, have either started or are preparing to start developing drugs. The Korea National Institute of Health is also leading research on developing key substances for vaccines. Oh Young, Arirang News.
What's up, Johnny? All right, man. What do you know, babe? You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate's like 0.1 to 0.3 according to USC. Is it really? That's reassuring. USC. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway. USC and LA County Public Health come up with a study. They found that there are 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected. Really? Yeah.
So that makes it 0.1 to 0.3? Does a study to give out based on it?
Yeah, just give it to them. So it suggests that the case fatality risk is 10. Wow. Which is right in line with the flu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
So it was a hoax. I don't think it was a hoax. USC. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway.
What the hell did you just say?
Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway.